Well, hey everybody, and welcome to the live show. It's Sunday. It is 4 o'clock here on the West Coast, 7 o'clock Eastern Time Zone. Thanks for joining me here, and we hope to be here every single Sunday. Before we get going, I want to do a shout out to Canada Drives. That's your used car source here in Canada. It's canadadrives.ca, 100% online shopping. You do the paperwork online, and they deliver it to your door in a covered trailer. Pretty cool, right? And then there's Car Cost Canada. That's for your brand new car needs. You want to find out what the dealer paid for the car. Powerful information when you go in to negotiate a deal. So go to Car Cost Canada, use the promo code Motormouth, that's the name of the channel, and you become an expert member. All right. Let me know if there's any audio issues or anything. I think it's going okay. Still trying to work out a few bugs with the system. If you weren't aware, last week I mentioned that I had this laptop melt down, so I had it repaired and just trying to get everything back to the way it was. All right, now let's get into the pictures, and we had a lot of them because we took a break for about a month from the live show, and I said I lost a lot of the pictures, so a lot of you sent them in, so we're going to go through them. If you want to get a picture through, send it to zack@motormouth.ca. That's ZACK at motormouth.ca. For Americans, that's ZACK at motormouth.ca. By the way, don't bombard me with a bunch of questions via email. That's why we do this live show. If you really want to get a question answered on the live show, Super Chat is your friend. A small donation to the channel. We make sure we get your question answered. That's why we take time during the week to answer your questions live. It's much easier for me to answer a question that helps hopefully everybody instead of doing one-on-ones via email. All right, the first question is, first picture I should say is from James. James has this beautiful Audi Q3. And he said he picked it up after watching the review that we did last year. Nice looking car, nice looking color. The next one is, this is very cool. This is from Carter. So he went on Xbox to play Forza and built a Porsche Cayenne as close as he could to what he thought my gold Cayenne is like. And I don't think he realized this, but he's playing in the streets of Edinburgh, and that's the Scott Monument in the background, that tall building, which is where my family's from. My mom lives in Edinburgh, and there's a famous Scott Monument and a beautiful Cayenne, and he even put Motormouth in the license plate. I'm just going to go from that to the real car, which is my car. A lot of people ask about this. That's my Cayenne GTS, and it is gold. It's called a Nordic Gold, kind of an orangey gold. Now, what's unique about that car is it's a manual transmission, one of only 29 that were sold in Canada. So I am lucky enough to have one of those. Next picture goes to, this is from Khalid, his Honda Accord. Nice looking car, like the wheels. Next one is, this is from Claude, his Silverado RST, with the beautiful 6.2 liter V8 engine. That is a monster of an engine. And then we get to John with his 3 Series. This is the M40i. And yeah, that looks beautiful. The next one is 997. This is a C2S, and it belongs to Robin. And that's taken right down at the harbor here in Vancouver. Our next picture goes to Sam. They just moved from Ontario here to Vancouver, and they bought from Jim Pattison in the North Shore the exact same Forester that Andrea and I test drove just a few weeks ago. So there's the one that we test drove, and here's the one that Sam is picking up, and that's from Jim Pattison in North Vancouver. The next one goes to, this is Josh, who lives in Texas, and that is a very rare Rav4 Prime. And Josh tells us that they didn't have to wait. They went into the dealer and bought it. That's like crazy. Go buy a lottery ticket. Congratulations to you. And a bonus picture from Josh of his Tudor GMT. It's Tudor Black Bay GMT, a beautiful watch. And I just realized that Jerome has sent me some pictures of his Jeep in eastern Quebec driving in the winter, and I forgot to upload them onto. So Jerome, I will get it on next week. I guarantee you. I apologize for that. Okay. Let's see where we're at here. Last week, by the way, we had a record number of people live on the show, which is great. I really appreciate that. Don't forget, if you want to get something guaranteed that it gets answered, you can always do a super chat. All right, let's go to the top and start and see how far down the list we get. The first one comes from Victor. Loving the content. Question: what would you go for, I guess? A 2022 BMW M240 with no options, or a fully loaded Genesis 3.3 top trim? I guess you're talking about the G70. Thanks and keep up the great work. Well, Victor, I'm a bit handicapped because I haven't driven the new 2 Series yet. However, we have it booked in 2 weeks. We have that car. Now, ours will be fully loaded, but you're talking about very different animals. One is a smaller 2-door coupe, and the other is a 4-door sedan. Now, granted, the G70 is on the small side of compact luxury sedans and a great driving unit. The all-wheel drive system is the same for BMW and for Genesis. It's developed by Magna, and it's calibrated differently for each brand, or they calibrate it differently. So if you ask me right now, point blank, which one would you take? I would take the BMW. That's a special car. And I can't wait to get hold of it in a couple of weeks. So if you're not in a rush, stay tuned for that. Hey, Zach, is the semiconductor shortage staged or real? I don't see a fulfillment issue, just a production delays. This is not a staged scenario. These car companies aren't making this up because, listen, if car companies had an advantage over another car company, they would exploit it. General Motors doesn't want to go from first place and let the number one spot go to Toyota. They don't want that. And it seems to be shifting around from brand to brand as the months go by. Also, what do you think may be the actual range on the Outlander PHEV and when to expect it? Okay, that's a good question. So the Outlander PHEV is going to be coming halfway through the year, 2022. The Japanese test cycle has already been announced at 87 kilometers of pure EV range. It's got a 20 kilowatt hour battery, which is the largest of the plug-in hybrids. As a reference, the Prime, off the top of my head, is 18. And something like the Tucson PHEV is under 15. So it's going to have one of the larger plug-in hybrid batteries available. So look at the Toyota Rav4 Prime as a benchmark at 68 kilometers of EV range. I would expect the Outlander to get that or maybe slightly more. I would guess right around 70 kilometers of EV range, which will be the one to beat. And that's going to be coming in the middle of this year. How are you? Have good news. Ford make update for 2022 Ford Mustang Mach-E GT. I'm not sure what you're asking there. Sorry. Have you heard about the oil consumption in the Mazda 3 Turbo and the CX-30 Turbo? Seems a lot of owners are having this issue. I have not. Now, to be fair, we cover all cars and we don't get into all the minutia of what's going on with each individual brand because we go from Mazda one week to Nissan the next to BMW to Porsche, which is like it's an endless cycle of all the vehicles we're test driving. If you really want to find out what's going on with owners of these cars, I would search a Mazda forum or a Reddit sub-forum for Mazda cars and see what other people have found. I don't know anything about oil consumption with that engine specifically. I've heard pretty good things about the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder from the Skyactiv engine. Hey, Zach, have you heard about... Oh, that's the same question. Steven, glad you're doing the live hour again. Any more updates when the chip shortage will start to ease up? It's surreal to see empty car dealerships for this long. So it seems to be shifting from brand to brand. So in the fall, so September, October, Toyota the production was way down worldwide. And then in November and December, they've ramped production back up to almost pre-chip shortage levels. However, the lots are empty. I went by a big Toyota dealership just the other day, and there's nothing in it except some used cars, and most of them are off-brand used cars. You can tell the dealer principal has just gone to the auction and grabbed whatever they could. So it's a real issue. I've heard that Volkswagen, for example, did fairly well through 2021. In fact, sales of Volkswagens were way up in the United States and Canada because they had product to sell. Now they're heading into a bit of a chip shortage. So it's all about what brand has been able to secure supply from the chip manufacturers and how far out they've done that. So some brands are going to start to see these things easing off. Others are heading into their dark period. I've heard that's the case for Volkswagen. Mary Barra, the chairwoman of General Motors, has said the worst for them is behind them. It's slowly going to get better. I would suspect we're going to see this problem drag on right into the fall of 2022. You've got to remember a few things. Not only do they have to get the chip supply up to speed, they have to build enough vehicles to not only ramp up production, but also to fill dealers' lots back up again, and to also fulfill all of the orders existing on the books. And then you have rental car companies that need to have fleets renewed. So it's a massive backlog of cars and pent-up demand that is going to have to be satisfied once production of these brands start to get up. So the big ones are General Motors, Ford, Stellantis domestically. Going to Mercedes-Benz dealer last week, they had lots of cars. BMW seems to have plenty of cars. Volkswagen, as I mentioned, is heading into it now. So it seems to be shifting from brand to brand. I don't expect it to be getting better in a big way for quite a while. Hey, Zach, I have good news from Toyota Update. I don't know what that means. I have good news. You need to be a little more specific in your question. Thoughts on the old Hyundai Ioniq hybrid? I don't mind it. I like the fact that they use a conventional automatic instead of a continuously variable transmission. I find the back seat is rather low. Other than that, I haven't followed up much on it since I drove it when it was new. I thought it drove well. In fact, of the Ioniq cars that we had a chance to drive, the full electric and the hybrid, I thought the hybrid was the best of the bunch, including the PHEV version. So that's about all I can tell you. I haven't driven one in a long time, since it was new. Congrats on 200,000. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, we hit 200,000 a week ago about. Yeah, so thank you very much, and appreciate everybody that made some nice comments when we did that. It was really nice of you. Hi, Zach. Is it still worth buying a brand new gasoline car these days? I'm getting this question a lot. There's a lot of people that are saying, oh, your car is going to be worthless in 3 years. It's not the case. Even with the most ambitious estimates for electric car adoption, we're not going to go from 95% pure gasoline internal combustion engines currently to anything like even 80% in the next 3 to 5 years. That's not going to happen. In the United States, electric car adoption is 2%. 2%. That means 98% of all the vehicles sold today are still internal combustion engines. They're not going away. And one of the things that a lot of people forget is they look at new car sales, okay? For example, here in British Columbia, if you look at new car sales, electric car sales are up around 10, 11, 12%, depending on the month. This is where I live in British Columbia. So a couple of things. There's big rebates on the hood to get people to buy them. And we live in probably the most expensive jurisdiction in North America for gasoline. So people are looking for relief at the pumps. So you've got to remember, in British Columbia, if you have, say, 10% of the vehicles that are being sold today are going to be pure battery electric vehicles, the vast majority of cars that are on the road are not new. Most cars on the road today are how old? How old do you think they are? Any guesses? The average car on the road today is right around 10 years old. So even if we got to 100%, which isn't going to happen anytime soon, of pure battery electric vehicles tomorrow, it would take 10 years or so for them to filter into fully the marketplace. So even if we had, say, 50% adoption of electric cars tomorrow, there's going to be all of these recently purchased and older vehicles that are going to remain on the road for many years to come. I just see a transformation towards electric vehicles, absolutely. Is it going to be overnight? No. Are we going to go from 2% in the US to 25 or 30% in the next 5 years? Highly unlikely, but I might be wrong. I think the number one issue with electric vehicles today is the price. They're all too expensive. Andrea and I just did the Ioniq again. We have the Ioniq this week again, and the video is going to be coming out in the next few weeks. And spoiler alert, I said to Andrea, and she kind of agrees. I said, I've yet to drive the perfect electric vehicle for me. They all have shortcomings. They're either too expensive, the range isn't good enough, the fit and finish isn't good enough. And for all of them, they seem to have some kind of shortcoming. So I think that's where we're at. Here's Jerome. Jerome, I apologize. I did get your email with all of your pictures of your Jeep and covered in salt, and I forgot to upload it. So we'll work on that for next week. Hi, Zach. Did you get a chance to drive the R8 rear-wheel drive? Thinking of picking up the R8 or 718 GTS 4.0 as a collector car leisure. GT3 is just impossible to get. I have not driven the rear-wheel drive. My good friend Costa drove it. They were in, I think they were on one of the islands, one of the Spanish islands, and they had the Audi event there. So only a few journalists got a chance to drive it. So no, I haven't driven it. But I would go for the Cayman 4-liter. How about those Bills? Yeah, that was a great game yesterday. It was nice to see the Patriots go down in a big way. Congrats on 200,000. You guys do an amazing job. I'll really appreciate that. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. What is the process of having to go through to buy a car from Canada and bring it to the United States? Now, you're not going to be able to get a new car because each company will pick Honda, for example. Honda United States has an agreement that they won't sell cars to people in Canada and vice versa. In fact, if they're found doing that, they can have penalties. In some cases, their license can be removed. This has been a big issue with people bringing cars up from the United States into Canada. Not a problem if the vehicle is used. If it's a brand new car, not going to happen. But some people get around that by having it registered and then bringing it down to the U.S. as a used vehicle. So you have to find out if the car is able to be imported. For example, there are some vehicles that are sold in Canada that are not sold in the United States, like a Mercedes-Benz C-Class wagon. Not sold in the U.S., but sold here in Canada. Can you go to Mercedes-Benz dealer in Canada and say, I want a C-Class wagon, and try to ship it across the border? I don't think that's going to be easy or even possible. If you found a used one, then you would have to find out if it meets the regulations for the United States. And that paperwork, I don't know. And then if the car is able to roll across the border, it's a good idea to employ a broker to get the car and bring it across the border and get all the paperwork done. Everything can be done if the car is able to go into the country. And then we have on top of that a lot of the Japanese domestic cars that come here to Canada that are 15 years old. So a car that's 15 years old is exempt from all the regulations. So a lot of these right-hand drive Japanese cars come here, especially to Vancouver, and they have to be 25 years old to go into the United States. So you can't just say, oh, there's a 15-year-old Toyota Hilux or something, and I want to bring it to the United States. You can't do that. It has to eventually be 25 years old to do that. Hey Zach, Mohammed here. I'm looking for an all-wheel drive option, preferably an SUV, but have a strict budget of no more than $35,000. I don't know what size vehicle you're looking for. I think there's one vehicle that is absolutely priced to perfection, and that is the Subaru Crosstrek Outdoor Trim for $30,000 Canadian. All-wheel drive, you get the larger 2.5-liter engine. It's not going to set any land speed records, but a very competent vehicle, and it's kind of an in-between size. It's not a subcompact SUV. It's not a compact. It's kind of in the middle there. They sell like crazy. It's a great product, and go check one of those out. What is the main difference between the Ultima and the Maxima since they share the same platforms? A lot of it comes down to trim and size. That's really it. The Maxima is, I don't even understand. Like, I mean, Toyota's getting rid of the Avalon, and I could totally see them getting rid of the Maxima. It might have been already, but yeah, not much in it. Especially the Maxima obviously had the bigger engines and those sorts of things, but yeah, when they had all sharing the same components, it didn't make any sense. Your thoughts on the compact hatchback segment, Civic Forte, etc., versus the subcompact SUV segment in terms of practicality and value? What a great question and comment. Interestingly, this past week, Andrea and I drove the Kia Forte sedan. And both of us remarked that how refreshing it was to get into a compact car, how refreshing it was to get into a fun, well-made, well-designed, good-looking compact car. And these things, in comparison to the compact or subcompact crossovers that are built on the same platform, are so much cheaper. The car we had was beautiful. It had a large screen, it had a 10-inch screen, Android and Apple, wireless, no, it wasn't wireless, Apple and Android, wireless charger, power seats, power windows, door locks, all the sensors, the round view camera, the whole full shooting match. And the car was $26,000, like crazy cheap. And this car had winter tires on it, and we were driving around in the snow. We've had snow here in Vancouver recently. And I was like, you know, for people who complain about cars are too expensive and SUVs are too expensive and gas is too high, look at a compact car. This car, in our real world driving, was getting 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers. That's 36 miles per gallon in the United States. Great fuel economy, nice little car to drive, comfortable, well put together. I'm with you. You know, if you don't need that all-wheel drive capability, and if you put on good winter tires, it can do 98% of the work that most small SUVs can do. Any protection on a vehicle, like paint protection or ceramic coating? We have a video on the channel of us getting ceramic coating done on our Porsche Cayenne. And I wasn't really a believer in this stuff because it is expensive. I mean, it's like over $1,000 for our car to get it done. And I thought, is this just nice marketing for some paint protection? But now that we've had it on the car, I'm a believer. We have our car parked on the street. We have big, huge old maple trees on our street. The birds dump crap on the car, and the birds dump crap on the car. And I can just hose it off. Another one that was really interesting is we had quite a bit of snow here for Vancouver. It's really quite rare. But we had I would say like over half a foot of snow, like 15 to 20 centimeters of snow. And the big pile of snow on the hood just slid right off because the paint is so slick. And the wheels come clean very easily. So it's expensive, but if you can afford to do it, especially when the car is new, it's not a bad way to go. I'm looking for a non-luxury 3-row SUV. Which one would you suggest? What do you think about Jeep Grand Cherokee L or QX60? Nice. We have in front of the house, we just picked it up yesterday, the brand new QX60 from Infiniti. Now, I don't want to spoil too much about the review because it's going to be coming out this coming Saturday. We're going to turn it around quickly because you know what? We really like it. They did a fantastic job. They had to do a good job on this because it's their best seller at Infiniti. Infiniti has been sucking it if you follow the car industry. Sales are in the toilet. They have old products, and finally they turned their attention to the QX60, and they did a great job. Now, also like the Grand Cherokee L. However, I would take a pause on first-year production of that, just because, you know, the history of the brand has not been strong when it comes to introduction of new models. So if you're in the market for a Grand Cherokee L, and we really did like it, there's a video for that already on the channel. Wonderful product, but I just kind of a little cautious and take a wait-see on reliability. The old Grand Cherokee, the one they're just finishing up now, great reliability. Any of those kicking around, they're actually pretty good. But stick around because Saturday is when we'll have the QX60 video will come out. Tom saying, I have a 2022 Nautilus. The lane centering is bunkers. It goes dangerously close to the center line, then overcorrects and goes back towards the center. Have you experienced anything like that? First of all, I have to say, I hate lane keep assist features in cars. They're all either too overly sensitive or do silly things like this. I just think, I turn them off. The first thing I do in a car that has it on is I turn it off. I just don't like them. Safety features I do like. I like obviously forward collision warning with autonomous braking, because sometimes you're distracted, you're looking down, and all of a sudden you look up and there's all these brake lights. That will save your ass. It will. Cross traffic alert when you're backing out of a mall parking spot, for example. That's very handy. Lane departure warning I don't like, and blind spot warning I never use. We've had it in our last few cars. Never used it once because I know how to drive. But the lane keep, I can't stand it. Have you heard anything about the new Honda HR-V coming? Yeah, they just showed a sketch of one. So it's going to be coming probably later this year. They've shown the sketch of it already. Ordered a Prime, and now I'm wondering if I should order a Mitsubishi Outlander and pick up the first one that's available. Super scared of the Nissan CVT. It's not a bad way to go. You know, if you can put a deposit on one, listen, if you could get one, and then the other one came in a week later, I would buy them both and flip one because they're not available. So you could probably sell it for more than you paid for it. You have to worry about the tax implications, but yeah, it's not a bad way to go. Order them both and see which one comes in first. It's a good question, actually. What makes a luxury car these days? Absolutely true. I just referenced the Kia Forte that we had. Beautiful leather seats, all the power amenities, all the electronic amenities, everything you could ever want in a car, but it's not a luxury brand. A couple of things come top of mind when it comes to luxury. Luxury often is quietness, especially with an internal combustion car. Luxury cars often are quieter or they're much more powerful, and a lot of times it just comes down to heritage, because you can get pretty much all the same features in a non-luxury car today that you can in a luxury car. So it comes down to badge appeal, and that's why car companies spend so much money marketing their cars, because the marketing is what sells them. So there you go. That's really what it is. No super chats today. That's all right. We keep plugging away. Here's James saying, thanks, Zach. Like button. Almost forgot my notification because subscribe. Well, the notification went out, I hope. Yeah, if you guys want to hit the thumbs up button, that would be great. That sure helps sharing these things after the fact. Here's Jerome again saying, wife's in love with the Wrangler Willys, and I might have to shop around, so she drives the Jeep. Hesitating between a Duramax ZR2 Bison and an Eco-Diesel Rubicon Gladiator. What do you think? I don't know. I haven't driven that Duramax, so I can't really answer that. The Gladiator is cool, though. And the Eco-Diesel is wonderful. The torque. It's a bit noisier than I had hoped. Actually, the one that we drove, the Gladiator we drove on the channel, was a diesel. So you can go back and watch that one again. Hey, we do have a super chat in here. Ah. All right, let's go down, and I think it's just a shout out. There's no question. From Angel. There you go. All right. And this one is from Jerome again. Subscriber sick. Got anything to drink? The only thing I've got is some water. I got a little bit of water. It's the same bottle that was here last week. I just take another sip. So subscriber sip is like, a lot of you are watching this now. It's because you're subscribed. But if you're watching this after the fact and you're not subscribed, the way it works is I take a sip and you subscribe. Subscriber sip. And Jack, my son, is working today at the grocery store. Now they're coming in fast. We have another super chat. This is from Michael. Hey, Zach, thinking of buying a 2015 F150 3.5 Ecoboost. Any comments on longevity? Well, there's lots of information about this. You can go on to the other, the web forums kind of are dying off a little bit. You know what's really picking up now are Facebook groups. So you can go into Facebook and type in Ford F-150 or EcoBoost groups, and you'll find people with the same vehicle. The reason I know that is because I'm a member of the Ford EcoBoost forum, or group, I should say. These engines have been around for a long time now, and they have proven to be really quite reliable. Now, with anything, there are issues, but the engines themselves are really quite strong. So what I would do is go into those groups and hear what other people have to say about it. But if you're looking for a vehicle that is loaded with torque, like just monster torque, and pulls like a freight train, gets fairly good fuel economy when the truck is empty, can be quite thirsty on fuel if you're towing or you have a bed full of stuff, just factor that into the equation. So most of the time people are hauling around air, and if that's the case, the 3.5 liter will be great. But the engines are really, really quite strong and robust. And if that's too much for you, then you can get the 2.7 liter, which is the same sort of setup, except it's a smaller displacement. And those engines are quite good as well. It's funny, those Rav4 Primes are for sale all over the place here in Rochester. Well, there you go. If you're looking for a Rav4 Prime, look up the Toyota dealers in Rochester, New York, and away you go. Stefan is saying he's watching this and the football at the same time. Nice. I wonder, I don't know what game's on right now. Hey, Zach, checking in from East Coast here. I'm hoping to test the new Nissan Frontier soon. Your review seems good in good comparison with the Taco. Yeah, we actually really like the Frontier a lot. The engine, the 3.8 liter, that's the star of the show. Absolutely. And if you get the Pro 4X trim, the suspension is really good at eating up bumps. The cabin is simple. That's okay. It's a pickup truck. And I like the design. I think they killed it absolutely with the design. So go and take a look at it. It's not going to win any contest for fit and finish on the inside with materials, but that's kind of what you get with a pickup truck. Hey, the Tacoma that we just did a video on here, basic, man. That's a basic truck on the inside, but it has great resale. Now, interestingly, the Frontier also has quite high resale. Not the same as the Tacoma, but that could change with this latest model. Rivian for $75,000 or Maverick and Miata for the easy. Maverick and a Miata? No contest. That's what you need. I love that Maverick. It's funny. I was on the Ford website yesterday building the Maverick that I would get. I would get the base model, hybrid, with the base steel wheels. I think that looks cool. The steel wheels look really cool to me. It's kind of like so ugly it's cute. It's kind of like a pug. So ugly it's cute. I would get the hard tonneau cover in the back, a few amenities on the inside, and drive it away. The fuel economy is absolutely amazing. And then you have a Miata for the weekend. Hello. That's a no-brainer. I like this one. Go Bills. It's going to be interesting. They may have a shot at the Super Bowl again this year. How was the Ioniq 5 that you were driving for a week? Well, the video is done. It isn't edited, but we finished it. And that's kind of what the video is about. It's about us living with it for a week. Now, there are certainly some positives with the Ioniq 5, but there were a few foibles about it. Most of them quite minor, actually, but it is not perfect. But yeah, that video will be coming out. What can I say about it? Some ergonomic issues were where the screen's placed and things like that. I hate the stupid door handles. I'm going to say right now, I hate cars with the flip-out door handles. Just give me a car with a regular door handle. I don't need a goofy door handle. Just give me a regular door handle. We had sort of a real cold ice snap here in Vancouver, which is very rare. It went down to minus 15 degrees Celsius, which is about the temperature the Bills were playing in yesterday. And I had to heave-ho on the door. It was frozen against the molding and pull on it. And I just wonder about these cars with these flippy door handles. I don't know. I like the way Audi does it. They do the electric cars with regular door handles. It's a wonderful thing. just figure out. I think we got another super chat come in here. Maybe it hasn't shown up yet. Oh, that was Jerome's. Never mind. All right. Let's go back to where we were. I'm really questioning my idea of wearing a sweater in here. I've got all the lights on in here, and now I'm sweating like a pig. There's another super chat. All right. This is from Jackson. Hey, Zach, I have a $1,500 deposit on a BMW i4. It's $5,000 less than a Model 3. But where's the competition from Merc and Audi in the $50,000 to $60,000 range? Just put your seatbelt on. It's all going to be coming. I mean, we're at the very, very early stages of all of these brands bringing their electric fleet to market. The big problem, I think, is going to be that they are not going to have enough demand, not demand, but they're not going to have enough production, because these cars, for the most part, initially are built in pretty small batches. So, yeah, I don't have an answer for you. Mercedes-Benz is saying they're going all in on electric, so you're going to see a lot of production vehicles coming from them over the next couple of years. But the timing on this, you know, so you're looking at, you know, the BMW sedan. I think that Mercedes-Benz and others are focusing more on utility vehicles because that's really what people are buying. So as much as I think that they did a nice job on the car, and I think it looks good compared to the SUV cousin, I think that's really the issue, is that other brands are focusing on SUVs. We have another super chat, no question. Oh, I guess it's right below that. Subcompact luxury entry-level SUV. I'm considering a Q3 and a BMW X1. Can you please suggest some more good options in the same price range? I think that the Q3 is the one to beat. I mean, it really has a great starting price. It comes with a lot of nice features. It comes with like the digital screen for the instrument cluster, standard equipment, pano roof is in there, and a bunch of other things. It really is kind of the one to beat. Plus, the car runs on regular gas. You don't have to put premium gas in it. The X1 is fantastic. It's bigger. It's got more space on the inside, and is a lively and fun vehicle to drive. Another one to look at is the Cadillac XT4. Andrew and I drove it, and we were both impressed with it. That's another one. Oh, the GLA from Mercedes-Benz. Wonderful driving car, great handling, very crisp transmission, a lot of fun to drive. But I think based on just overall value, the Q3 is going to be really, really hard to beat. Somebody say, oh, this is Jerome saying, if you speak French, Antoine Gilbert's reviews are pretty good. He's Quebec's Zach. And Antoine is a good friend. He's a lot of fun. When we go on car launches and we're in each other's company, we always hang out. So, yeah, Antoine's a good guy. He has many TV shows and online videos and reviews for you to watch. And if you do speak French, I encourage you to watch Antoine Gilbert. All right, where was I here? Oh, here's Andrea. Hi there. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on the smaller screen of the Forte, large screen wired. I said that. I corrected myself. Andrea is monitoring from upstairs. Okay, we have 174 thumbs up, but over 400 people on board. If you guys can smash it, that would be great. Oh, watch question. I always love these. This is from Evan Katz from New York. Hey, Zach, watch question. Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean or vintage Rolex Air King 5500? Really love my Santa Cruz. Oh, cool. That is a cool vehicle. Now, the big problem you have with the Air King, as much as, okay, the Rolex Air King, I think you're talking about, yeah, vintage one. They're small. They're not big watches. So I'm not sure how big your wrist is, but you know, sizing the watch to your wrist is really, really important. The Planet Ocean is available, I believe, in a smaller size. I think 38 millimeters and up to 45 millimeters. This is off the top of my head. So you probably, if you like that Air King, you're going to want the smaller one. But the Air King is a classic. I don't know what to say other than I have Omega and Rolex. So my answer is buy both. If you, or buy one, then start saving up for the next one. All right, I got to go back to where I was. I get lost. Weird question to ask. Are there any more reviewers from Canada like Motormouth and the Throttle House wanted to support Canadian reviews? We get different trims, so U.S. reviews may not translate. I would suggest that there's really not many. Might be some smaller YouTube channels that are getting all the Canadian seed that we like. Especially Andrea does all the research on this, drills into all the different specs that are available in Canada and the United States, which is a whole lot of work for her. A lot of the bigger YouTube channels that are based in Canada, they don't really get into what's available. They just talk about the exact car they're driving. So if they're driving a fully loaded GTI, they're going to talk just about the GTI. They're not going to talk about all the trims available, which is one of the reasons that makes our channel unique. Is we'll talk about the different trims, and we'll always, for the most part, pick the trim we think is the best value. And no, I'm not going to start plugging other YouTube channels. Hey, Zach, I'm also not a fan of panoramic roofs. Unfortunately, the manufacturer seems to install them. So my question is, do they crack more than the sunroof models? There have been stories of certain brands, Hyundai and Kia, with the big panel roofs getting chips in them. And then as you drive along at highway speeds, the pressure of the air going over the top of the car, they don't implode, they explode out of the car. So the roof sort of shatters. It's all because of the differential in pressure, and then there's a crack or a chip in the glass, and then it breaks free. So you can look up Hyundai panoramic roof failures, and you'll see a long list of them. That's the one brand I know of. I'm sure it happens with other brands. So you're going to have a better chance with a smaller surface of a regular sunroof for that not to happen. And it really doesn't happen at all if you have no sunroof. So I don't think it happens very often. But if you live in an area where you get a lot of stone chips, like for example in Alberta, where they put a lot of grit down on the road, that might be an issue. Something you would definitely want to do more research on. The issue you have is often when you get the top trim of a car, which you might want all the other stuff in it, you have to take the panoramic roof. You can't get it without. And that's a big problem. In some countries, like in Europe, you can do special orders with a sunroof delete, but often that's not the case here. Another super chat. How would you design engineer a compact mid-sized vehicle to put people away from SUVs? Well, I don't think you can stem the tide of what's already happening. The market likes what the market likes. I mean, I would like to have a compact car. I don't understand why people look past these vehicles because they offer so much. And in the case of a vehicle like a Civic, for example, or even a Corolla, they offer a lot of space. Often the backseat legroom in a Civic is better than most compact SUVs. But it all comes down to marketing. These companies have been so successful telling us we want to have the rugged attitude of an SUV. Oh, you got to have all-wheel drive. You got to have this. But then the other part of it is people have experienced utility vehicles. A lot of people, especially women, like the fact they sit up higher and they look down the road and they feel a little safer because of it. It's a bit false because honestly, you're safer in a car that's lower to the ground. It's just a psychological thing. I'm not sure what I would do to change it. Is I would maybe have a car that had everything in it and sell it for as cheaply as I could, like a screaming good deal. One car that I think has a really good value. It's fun to drive. It's got independent rear suspension. It's even available with a manual transmission. Is the Nissan Sentra. The latest one they did was very good. They did a very good job with it. Have deposit on a 2022 Cayenne e-hybrid. Is it wise to buy it given the transition period we are in with so many good EVs coming to market? I don't think that... Listen, you would have no problem in getting that vehicle and driving it for a few years and then getting something else. Someone will want your plug-in hybrid Cayenne. It's not a problem. And the way you can get around that is lease it for 2 years. It's going to be probably another 2 years before we get the full electric Macan, which is a small vehicle. And then eventually we'll probably get the Cayenne full electric. I was talking to somebody at one of the Porsche dealers near here, and he was saying he thinks they're going to have gas and electric being sold together because the prices of the electric Porsches are going to be so high, the Macan, for example. So I think that the vehicle that you're considering and have a deposit on is a perfect vehicle for you to drive in the short term. You can plug it in anywhere. You don't have to have 240 volts. You have no range anxiety, you have more power, and you have a vehicle that's going to be easy to sell if you ever want to get rid of it. And it future-proofs you for what's coming down the road. So a pure battery electric vehicle, yeah, you can make the switch now, but in 3 to 5 years, there's going to be so many more options for you to choose from. Why, in my opinion, would you tie yourself down to 2021 and 2022 technology when you can look forward to something that's going to be even better? From Victor, thanks for your answer, Zach. Any new watches? Yes and no. If you hang tight, let me get the watch. So there is a new watch in the house. This is a Tudor, and this is the brand new, what's called the Pelagos FXD, or fixed lug Tudor. There it is. You see that? So that's the Tudor Pelagos with the strap on it. However, I didn't buy this to keep it. I bought it to sell it. So if somebody wants a Tudor Pelagos, now they're going for over retail, just to be aware of that. But this one kind of fell in my lap. I'm not going to tell you the backstory of how that happened, but there you go. That's what's sitting in the house right now. And then it's going to go in the safe after this. We have another super chat. I don't, with this program I use for putting the questions on the screen, it doesn't show the emoji. So if you're paying money for a super chat for an emoji, they don't always show up on this program. All right, now I got to go back to where I was. 239 thumbs up now. We have over 400 people on board. By the way, the live chat here, thanks to you guys, has really taken off over the last month or so. I used to get about 5,000 to 6,000 views of this live show a week, and now we're up to almost 10,000. So that's fantastic. Thank you for taking part. Whether you're watching live or you're watching after the fact. Either way, Zach's happy. Well, here's a question. Why do you hate sunroofs? I like it darker in the car and bright outside. And then you have your sunglasses on. The problem with sunroofs is that the sun will shine often on the inside of your sunglasses. So when you're driving along, the sun hits the inside of your sun. It gives a reflection. I just don't like it. I prefer to have it dark in the car and then bright outside. Now, I will make an exception for a convertible because that's just a totally different experience. But yeah, I don't like sunroofs. I have the Cayenne I showed you, the GTS with the manual transmission, and that roof is always closed. Sorry, guys, I got to figure out where I was. The issue we have with doing the live show is that we're getting a lot of questions. I obviously can't get to all of them, but that's where if you have to get a question answered, the super chat is going to be the way to go. Hi, Zach. Any plans to review the Toyota 86 or the BRZ? Any other affordable sports car? Yeah, the affordable sports car is the Miata, the MX-5, around $33,000, manual transmission. That's a great car for 33 grand. We had a prototype Toyota 86 lined up about 6 weeks ago, And Toyota called because of, I'm not sure if you heard the news here in Vancouver, we had a major flood and the rail lines were washed out. They couldn't get the car to us, so they had to pull it, and we're going to get it in the spring. But yeah, we were going to have one of the very first prototype cars to drive. I look forward to it. Here's somebody who drives the car I just mentioned. I drive a 17 MX-5. I need something with 4 seats to pick up the kitty on some rare occasions. What convertible drives as fun and doesn't break the bank? What convertible is as fun and doesn't break the bank? What about a 2 Series convertible? No, it's a 2 Series convertible? Yeah, it is. Yeah, that would be fun. Has 4 seats. That's what I would look for. I'm looking at a non-luxury 3-row SUV. Which one would you suggest? What do you think? Somebody asked that already. Have you heard anything about the Chevy Bolt and their issues? I have one on order. Production is going to ramp up again in February, so next month. They're going to be producing them again. There's limited numbers of the all-new model that came out before they had a stop sale order on them. I'm a huge Bolt fan. I would hope, with the issues that Chevrolet and General Motors have had around the Bolt, that they might bring it out with some special incentives on board. I'm not sure if they're going to, but already is the one to beat in terms of value in the electric car race. It's $38,000 in Canada, and then, for example, where I live, in British Columbia, they gave you $8,000 off. That's a hell of a lot of car for 30 grand. I mean, it competes with most other, compact cars, and it's fully electric with 400 kilometers of range. Thoughts on the X5 M50i? Listen, I think that the 40i is so good. I mean, do you really, really need all that power? Because the 40i is like a masterpiece, that engine. And it delivers a whole lot of power and torque. If you're really into having the most power, then go for it. Get the V8. But I really think that the 40i is fantastic. Do you think the new Acura MDX Type S is worth buying at 67 Gs or 73 to 73, or would you get the GV80? I haven't driven it yet. I think what they've done is they've actually targeted that vehicle as an alternative. I think that they've come in less with the bigger engine in it. I haven't driven it yet, so I'll have to wait and see if there's a marked difference with the Type S. I hope so. But 355 horsepower, the Genesis has more power. But yeah, that's really what I think they're doing, is they're saying, hey, we'll give you our sportiest one, and we're going to charge you less than those guys over at Genesis with their 3.5 liter turbocharged engine. But yeah, I haven't driven it yet. We'll have to wait and see. Don't love, I think what you're saying, the trend of 3-row compact midsize SUVs. They really only belong in large SUVs. I would much rather have a 2-row subcompact with more rear legroom. Thoughts? Well, there's not a lot in that smaller space. Like the Sorento is one that kind of straddles between the two. I think maybe you're thinking of the Mercedes-Benz GLB as another one. But there's really not that many. Most 3-row SUVs are midsize. Love your Sunday show. What are your thoughts on the 2018 Chevrolet Volt? The Volt is incredibly reliable. It's a product that General Motors came out with, and I think it's kind of maybe even a little over-engineered. People who have Volts really, really love. I got a friend of mine who lives in California in the Pasadena area. He's had 2 of them. Absolutely loves them. I've had people contacting me after the live show saying that they have a Volt and it's been very reliable, and they take it to the dealer once in a while for service, and the service manager says, yeah, it's one of their most reliable cars that they have. So yeah, if you can get a good deal on one, make sure you get it checked out, all the things you need to do when buying a used car. But yeah, you might be able to get a deal on one in comparison to a full electric like a Bolt or something else. Another super chat here. This one's from Pavel. Do you think the CT5 Blackwing is the last manual V8 sedan, or there will be more? I put a deposit on it. How do you like one? I haven't driven it. All we've driven is the CT5V, but not the Blackwing. I'd love to get my hands on it. What I will tell you is in the collector car crowd, the enthusiast market. Anything that's unique and different, and anything with a manual transmission, in the long run, will be collectible. And I don't think you're going to have to wait too long for the CT5 Blackwing to be a collectible car. As we all know, companies are moving towards their electrification platforms, and they have limited resources. So they have only so much bandwidth to produce more cars. So are they going to take some of their engineering might to produce a low volume car like a CT5 Blackwing, or are they going to put more of that engineering and production capacity into producing other vehicles? And I think that's the big question. I'm trying to think of other manual transmission cars like that. You know, there's no AMG cars like that. There's no M5 anymore with a manual transmission. You're going to get a Porsche 911, but that's not a sedan. I can't even really think of any off the top of my head. So I would suggest that that is going to be a future-proof car when it comes to collectability. Might not be right away, might not be 5 years, might not be 10 years. But I think if you had a really nice example of a Blackwing that didn't have huge miles on it and was looked after, there's going to be someone that wants that for sure. David has sent in a super chat. Now, if you want to bring the Blackwing over and let me drive it when you're done with it, I would love to take you up on that. It's a pretty cool car. Now, I'll give you a perfect example. I'll show you the picture again. I'll show you my Cayenne GTS, okay? I have to find it. Hang on. So here is my GTS, okay? So that is a 2008 Cayenne GTS. Now, that is one of only 29 that were sold with a manual transmission in Canada. In the United States, the numbers are all over the place in how many were actually brought into the US. The best guess is there's under 300 of them sold from 08, 09, and 2010. So really, in the whole population of Canada and the United States, there's roughly around 300 of these things. Well, you go on Bring a Trailer. There's somebody that's reselling the one pretty much every single week. There's one on there right now with 50,000 miles on it. It's going to go for over $50,000 US, which is not much less than they were when they were brand new. And these cars are now 13, 14 years old. So they are collectible because they have a manual transmission. And we're starting to see that with Ferraris, older Ferraris. All the new Ferraris are sold without manuals. So any of the older ones that have manuals, they're going through the roof. The R8s that were sold with a manual transmission, they're going up in collectability. 5 Series BMWs. Not many 5 Series BMWs were sold with manuals, but they were out there. So people are grabbing those and the prices are going up. So it's never a bad idea to buy a unique and different car with a manual transmission for resale value. Jamal's here. Hey, Zach, I need a compact SUV in the coming summer. Can I expect the new Kia Sportage this summer? Yes, I think it's coming before the summer. That's my best guess. I've asked Kia. They haven't given me a straight answer, but looking at the cadence of when they bring things out, I would hope that it's going to be this summer. Okay? All right, where else are we here? Oh, yeah, if you want to get a picture in for the live show, don't forget to send it to Zach@motormouth.ca. That's ZACK at motormouth.ca or ZACK at motormouth.ca. If you're from the United States, please don't follow up with a bunch of questions. That's why we do the live show. If you have a question and you really have to get it answered, the best way to do it is to do a super chat. Me answering a question one-on-one isn't the best use of my time. It's better to have the questions answered here, and then a lot of people can benefit, hopefully, from the answer. So that's my advice to you. I don't mean to be sticky on that. It's just that I have only so much time, and I don't want to spend doing one-on-one conversations with people. It's much better to have a large audience like this and then have a lot of people benefit from it. Hello, buying either Volvo XC90 gas or PHE better than the X540i or the 45e. I want a future-proof all-wheel drive car with lane assist, adaptive cruise, value for money. I don't think either of the plugins is worth it at this point. The range is just too limited. Both of them are right around 30 kilometers of EV range. It's really quite pathetic. if you ask me, considering what they charge. The gas models are going to be less expensive, and of those two, it hands down is the BMW X540i. A wonderful engine, beautiful inline six-cylinder, absolutely lovely. If you can afford the plug-in version to have it and use less fuel and still have an enjoyable experience, knock yourself out. The XC90 was one of the very first plug-ins of this sort of generation, and it's quite dated and old and really kind of pathetic range. So if it was between the two plug-ins, I would go BMW. If it was between the two gas, I would go BMW. Now, if you can afford the PHEV, try it out, see if you like it. For me, I would take the regular 40i. Wonderful product, but there you go. It really comes down to personal choice. All right, 1 hour is done, one and done. Thank you very much. So appreciate everybody that comments and sends in questions. I don't read them all. I don't answer them all, but I do read them all after the fact. So if you didn't get your question answered, I do read them. And if you want to get them in the future, Super Chat's the best way to do it because we're getting much more volume of questions coming in now. So thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. And we'll see you next Sunday. What's coming up this week? What is coming up this week? We have the Lexus RX 450h, the hybrid. And then next Saturday, we're going to have the QX60, the new Infinity 3-row SUV that's built on the Nissan Pathfinder platform. And early indications are we like it a lot. So make sure you tune in, and we'll see you throughout the week with all the different videos that drop. We have a comparison coming out. What's the comparison again? We're doing the Forester and we're doing the Mazda CX-5 and the Forester. That'll be the comparison this week. Okay, so thank you all, and we'll chat with you next week. Cheers.